Welcome back, everyone. I am still here with Kent Nelson here at KSK Martial Arts in Lansing, Michigan. Actually, my former hometown, for those of you that don't know, not Lansing, but Battle Creek, which is about an hour from here. So I'll go to more into this in my book. But I lived and grew up in Michigan, and it's just weird and strange to be back here again and talking with a fellow martial artist who's from here and teaches here. So, Kent, what I want to talk about now is the amazing benefits of martial arts. And I'm actually really excited to talk to you about this because not only because of your multifaceted background and knowledge in martial arts, and you've been able to physically, emotionally, and mentally experience this whole array of stuff, right? But you also come from a paramedic background.
Yes.
So you have a medicinal or medical knowledge that you can carry over into your teaching. So let's go ahead and start with anything off the top of your head that you hear. Again, you're talking to if you could be talking to the whole world of martial artists or even the whole world that isn't. But I would like you to convey some of your most favorite, amazing benefits of martial arts in the mental, physical, or emotional realm that you're like, man, if getting involved in martial arts, this would be an amazing benefit that I wish you could feel or see or experience.
There are a lot, and I could probably rattle off a lot.
Yeah.
But at the top of that list, if we only ever get to this one, this is the one that's the most important to me.
Okay.
It is 100% the relationships you make and the people you meet. And I know I've said that already on this podcast, because to me, I mean, we're experiencing it right now.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like you and I have never met personally, but you're totally awesome. I love you. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's and here now you're getting to meet somebody that you haven't met and get a new experience, and that is so beneficial. And I think that it does create that family and that bond. I think another big thing which helps that, which is already part of it, is the fact that there's shared experience and shared kind of language between each other as martial artists. Like you and I, you're black belt in jiu-jitsu, I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. We have never rolled, but you and I could roll right now and we could speak a language without using words.
It's so fun.
Yeah. And we can feel each other's energy of okay, he wants to have an argument, or he wants to just laugh during this conversation,
or have a little debate,
or he wants to have a debate. That's exactly right. Or he's going to let me talk for a while, and then he's clearly going to take over the conversation. And then I'm going to talk again for a while. And this is all done non-verbally. And that's the thing I love about. I went out to the I think it was 2010 or 12, maybe 12. I went out to the Inasano Academy one year, and I met a man named Sergio Lopez. And Sergio, he runs a group out in Spain, and I didn't know who this gentleman was at first. And he had recognized me and said hello to me outside in the parking lot, and we all went in to train, and he didn't speak much English at all. Well, my partner that day got sick, and something happened with this guy's training partner as well, and Sergio didn't have a partner, and I didn't have a partner, and we don't speak English. Or he didn't speak English and I didn't speak Spanish, So we got partnered together, and all I knew is that this guy kind of knows who I am, and I hadn't met this guy yet. And we started moving the sticks. And the next thing you know, we're speaking Kali. And that's the best way to say it. We're speaking Kali. Guru's teaching in English.
Yep.
And he's watching the motion, I'm watching the motion, because anybody's ever trained with Guru, that what's coming out audibly and what's happening verbally are two different lessons sometimes.
Yep.
Right? And and so I'm watching Guru, he's watching Guru, we're working with each other, and we're feeling the energy, and when it's right, we would exchange a smile or a wink or a feel, and a laugh, and we would get a chuckle, and no verbal words we understood between us, but we spoke that language.
Yeah.
And because we had a shared experience through Kali, you have a shared experience through jiu-jitsu. Anybody that if you've done an art another person's done, you have a shared experience. You have shared trials you've been through.
And it's really nice to encounter people who have actually learned such languages, because when you meet, you're like, oh, you do that too? Yes. Oh man, that's cool. Let's do that. Let's do that together. And then it's so wild sometimes, because they could be from a whole nother part of the world, and you're like, man, I can't believe that you know the things that I know. And it does this. It brings, has this, music, man.
Just like music.
Yeah. So we can both definitely agree that one of the most amazing benefits of martial arts, and sure, you can get this with other sports, you can get this with other avenues in life, but for some reason, martial arts has a very special way of creating that bond between people because of that language that you're talking about, that physical language where when you're moving and flowing with somebody. You know, whether you're doing a kata with someone, or you're doing Jinga, or you're doing, you know, a 6-count sombrado, or you're doing, there's something that's happening that I still haven't been able to completely explain. I mean, I know what's happening, but to articulate it isn't always the easiest because you have to be there. You have to experience it. You have to feel that with the other person, that energy exchange, which to me is one of the most amazing benefits. And, you know, it's much different than just tossing a ball. You know, if you and I were in this dojo right now and we're just throwing a football, that's great. I love doing that too. But man, there's just something so different and so much more connecting about flowing through hubad or flowing through, you know, some other form of martial arts that we both know. We're like, whoa, cool, you know that too? And
well, when I throw you a ball,
yeah,
you know, like you got one job, catch the ball.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not like I'm darting back and forth and faking it and then throwing it under, then going over here, and then boom, eventually, like, and what happens when we're like doing a sombrado, you're doing a free roll or you're clinching or whatever you're doing, like there's that extra added, like, oh, can I solve the puzzle piece that this person might throw at me? Right? And that becomes more fun. It becomes more interactive. Like look at the types of interaction, right? Like, especially the ones you mentioned.
Yeah.
First you start with kata, no contact, right? Yeah. It's about both of us memorizing the same thing, doing the same thing, right? Then or maybe exploring the differences between the same ideas. Then you go to something like, you say, like 6-count sombrado. Now that's a pattern, but now you're interacting. So now you have to learn to deal with this other person's arm length and leg length and their range, and deal with the power level they're giving you and whether or not they're actually targeting you or just feeding something in the air, and what the response is. Now there's more to interact with, right? Now let's take that to say a free roll in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Right? Now it's completely unscripted, right? I mean, there's common training in the background, but now there's not a pattern you're following. And you're definitely connected. Yeah. Now it's all about that conversation. It's about that problem solving. You know, one thing I try to tell my people when they're rolling is like, and this is really rich for me to say this because I'm a purple belt. I'm not a black belt. Yeah. Okay, but that's where I'm at in my journey at the moment here in 2022. Yeah. And that is just simply like I try to tell them that you know, if you worry about your motion more so than their motion, that's fun. Right? Because like when you worry about their emotion, you're constantly trying to stop them from doing things. Yeah. So think about your emotion instead. Try to expand what you can do. Try to like search for those things. And then think about everything not as a fight, but think about it like a game, like obstacles. Like, so here's a good example. I recently went to go teach a seminar in Boston. Okay. And specifically he asked me to teach jiu-jitsu. So I taught a white to blue belt seminar about a lot of the stuff there, and there was a black belt that attended, very talented guy. He's 8 years younger than me with 8 more years of experience than me too. Yeah. Right? Good guy. And we went to go roll, and it was very different. Like he came at me pretty, like I felt kind of aggressively. He wanted it. I was playing with him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I recognized in the moment, he's 8 years younger than me. He's got 8 years more experience than me. Right. He's a black belt and I am not. So for me to try to play with him like I'm a black belt too and try to beat him would be disingenuous of where I'm at in my journey. Yeah. So instead, you know what I decided to do? The same thing I do that I do with my white belts. I basically told myself, all right, I'm going to let him attack. And we rolled like 25 minutes. I was like, I'm going to let him attack. And I'm just going to keep putting obstacles in his way. I'm not going to fight him. I'm just going to like, nope. I'm just going to keep giving him, just keep giving him things he has to do. I'm going to keep my holes tight, and I'm just going to, I'm going to put this here, and put that there. You do something, I'll do something else. Nice. And after 25 minutes, finally, he exhausted out, and we were done. We had a great time, great talk after a while. I don't know if he exhausted out, but he called it. Yeah. You know, and we had a good time. You know, he caught me a couple times, but I was really happy with my game that I was able to just like keep a black belt off me that long, and it is impressive. Yeah, and so for me, it's a great accomplishment. Yeah, so for me, like that mindset of give him things to play with, give him obstacles, give him tools rather than give him a fight. Yep. I'd have probably got it handed to me had I tried to fight him.
And you know what? And I have to, the reason why I have to interrupt you, because you're reminding me of one of our travels, and this was in Vegas just recently, literally less than a month ago, right? We went to Sims and then we went to Mylene's, and so we go out to these two schools, and I don't wear a belt anymore. I don't, because, and I'll tell you why in this story is that, and this was such a clear example as to why I have stopped. And this is a personal decision. I'm not telling anyone to do this, but personal decision after, my gosh, it's been a long time in being involved in BJJ. But I go to this one school, and I'm rolling with this guy's students. And the very first one I was rolling with, I was clearly the black belt of the two of us.
Okay.
I rolled with the next guy.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I rolled with the next guy, and I got bumped down.
I know what you mean there,
As soon as the first 8 to 10 seconds, I immediately was like, oh no. I knew exactly what I was. I was probably blue at that point.
Yeah.
And then I go to the next person, and maybe on a couple of occasions I was purple going back, So I want to tell people that. I want to be like, look, yeah, of course, according to, like we were talking about, the standards and all this stuff, yeah, I am a black belt. But then we go to this other school, and almost the entire time I was maybe a yellow. But I did earn a black belt. But when I was rolling with that school, man, I didn't have the what do you call it? I didn't have, I couldn't live with myself if I even tried to walk away and say, well, yeah, but this and yeah, but that. No, I was not a black belt and so I'm glad that you say that, because I want people to know that, yeah, you earn your black belt, you earn whatever upper tier rank that you get, whether it's black or whatever, 4th degree, 10th, I don't care. There's going to be people that you encounter that will knock that rank down.
Sure.
And it could be because of age, it could be because maybe you earned your black belt going 3 to 4 times a week. Well, that same guy who did that same art, he was going 6 days a week.
Sure.
Maybe you had kids and he didn't.
Maybe he's younger.
Maybe he's younger.
Maybe he got more sleep the night before.
Yeah, and so that's, and I know what I'm kind of actually backtracking and going back into the truths, but I also want to make it the amazing benefits, because realizing that
truth is a benefit.
Is a benefit. I like it. See, he's keeping me on track. That's good.
Truth is definitely a benefit.
But so, one of the amazing benefits for us in our travels has been realizing that, or re-realizing rather, that one of the most amazing benefits that you can encounter, experience, or learn is that it's such an ever-changing experience and journey, right? Where you can go from one place to another, and it can all change, man.
Yeah.
It can all get turned on its head. And having that experience, that I've been there experience, I was there and it happened to me experience, is so beneficial because of the teaching side.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And so
For
like, so now we're talking about how, like, for instance, when you were in front of your class, and another thing that I want to tell you that I personally appreciate as a teacher from me to you is how well and clean your articulation is when you talk to people.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate
and
that.
So, because again, I'm not blaming anyone or anything like that, but one thing that I've noticed across the board, and we both noticed, is that you've got such a wide variety of people who have learned how to communicate or talk or teach. And obviously, if they can't clearly and sincerely with meaningful intent articulate what they're trying to get across, it's going to dictate the quality of what's going to happen in the class or the results. So, that's been one of the most amazing benefits to me, is that by having those experiences, by learning to go up and down and to keep your ego in check and have these experiences that challenge you, and then you turn around and teach, man, it just makes you so much of a better teacher.
Well, I think
at least I would like to think it does.
Yeah, well, I think one of those great benefits of martial arts is perspective.
Yeah.
Right? And now, perspective when you've only ever done one art is tough.
Oh, yeah.
Perspective with only one teacher. Now you can have multiple arts in one teacher. I mean, we've all seen that in our circles, and that's a good way to create perspective between the arts. Right. Perspective between teachers, between training environments. All that is interesting because, and to me, that's a benefit, because even if you only ever train in just your, let's say, let's say you just got one little jiu-jitsu school or one little Kali school in some small town, and that's all you get to, right?
Right.
Just the perspective of training from person to person to person to person helps you gain an insight you didn't before.
Right.
Right? Being able to talk to people, again, it's the people.
Yep.
It gives you insight that you didn't have before. And that's always a benefit, because the more you have perspective, I think the more you're able to open yourself up to, like, maybe not beating up on yourself too much, and also not putting too much stock in something you like, oh, I just tapped this guy out. And, you know, that's great. Did you tap out a white belt, blue belt, black belt?
Yeah.
What was it? You know, and then like, okay, and, you know, did you tap out a black belt in Taekwondo? It's his first day in jiu-jitsu. Did you tap out a black belt who's been doing jiu-jitsu 20 years? Like,
you know,
like perspective is
exactly.
important. It helps you understand that. I didn't understand that. Like, you know, what's really interesting is like, I remember, I think it was like, I remember one time I was rolling with Professor Chet, and I was early blue, maybe. And we're rolling, and I'm trying this arm bar thing, and he's really big on letting you do whatever, and then he just gets out, and, you know, it's how he works his defense and gives you obstacles and play. It's great. And I caught him in an arm bar, or at least I thought, and he tapped, and I wasn't expecting that. And I was like, oh, and I look at him and I go, was that legit? And he goes, don't ask. And then we just keep rolling. And that was all I got. That was my speech. Don't ask. Okay. I was like, okay. And now I recognize, as I teach my own students, I'm constantly feeding them, you know, like an arm, a neck, I'm constantly feeding them to see if they're going to recognize, so I know where they're at. And then I let myself get into problem areas with my blues and my whites, so I can work on the defense from the purple side. And you know, and I recognize now when somebody taps me and they get all super happy, I'll be like, oh, was that real? And I say, don't ask. And not because somebody said that to me, not because of the dogma, but because I'm actually protecting them as a student.
I see.
Because if they legitimately tap me, let's say I wasn't paying attention, whatever, or they're just better than me in that moment, and they legitimately tap me, and I'm like too early, and I'm like, yeah, dude, just like, then they're gonna go try to rip everybody else's arm off with the same thing, right? If I tell them like, shh, no, I completely let myself get all the way in there first before, you know, just to see like what your setup was like, and if you're like if I break it apart on them, then I kind of take it away from them. Right. But if I say don't ask, I don't feed their ego, and I don't crush them either. You know what they do after I say don't ask? They just start rolling again.
Okay.
And I realized what a gift my teacher gave me by saying don't ask.
Yeah.
You know, if you're rolling with, like, the only time I ever ask a question is if I tap you with a choke. I will always ask you choke or crank, because I want to know that it was a choke and not a crank, because I'm not trying to cause you long-term damage in your spine. And if I'm cranking people with guillotines, or I'm cranking people with anacondas or darces, and I don't know that I'm cranking them, they're just tapping out and I move to the next person, I could hurt everybody in my family. But if I ask you every time, choke or crank, and I got a lot of people telling me crank, okay, I need to go back to the drawing board on my choke until everybody's telling me choke. That's the only time I'll ask a question. But as far as like legit or not, doesn't matter. Just keep rolling.
Okay.
Just have fun. That's what we're here for.
Nice. So with, you know, another thing that Casey and I have stumbled upon or discovered or whatever, actually, she was the one that brought me into this part of the world of the amazing benefits of martial arts, which is I've been studying a lot on all of the stuff on the inside that nobody sees of the amazing benefits, and specifically the brain-to-body connection benefits of martial arts. So now we're going into neurology, we're going into the neuroscience, we're going into, you know, the cognitive behavioral benefits, we're going into, you know, the limbic system, we're going into, so all these things that, and when that door opened for me, I was like, wow, like who talks about that? Who, you know, and so like you guys have kids classes, right?
Are you doing the Qigong and the Tai Chi yet?
Oh, no.
I'm serious.
Oh, yo, like what do you mean?
I believe in all that stuff you just said.
Yes.
And I've really gotten into that side of it this last just under 2 years now, I've been working probably close to a year and a half, Qigong and Tai Chi under Kyoshi Charles Peterson.
Nice.
And it's made such a difference in the quality of my movement and in my body and in my health.
Yeah.
It's a real legitimate thing. Like people talk about Qi.
Yeah.
Really, I've just come to understand Qi is really just another word for neuroscience or internal connection.
And that's why I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I've noticed, like in a lot of the Qigong training, a lot of the Tai Chi training, that it's so much about yourself.
Yeah.
It's so much about finding, like creating the connection and being able to can you activate a muscle group with your mind and not like squeeze, like can you like decide I'm going to have all of this relax and just like legitimately control the sections of your body, right? Can you change the blood flow, like the amount of blood flow that something's getting that needs it? You know, can you connect to that part of your body and get it to work better through concentration of it? And if before the pandemic, I'd have told you it was all BS.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it's like, and here we are again, both of us basically at 44 at this point, and I'm going, man. So, and we always have that question: if we could go back to our younger selves and say this or that,
I wouldn't have appreciated.
I don't know.
I wouldn't. Heck no.
Yeah, and so I wanted to bring this up, and again, which is why I was glad to talk to you, with having the martial arts and the medical background, and now you're experiencing martial arts from this whole other paradigm.
Yes.
And you're starting to delve into these, well, at least to you and me anyway, these new amazing benefits. And how we're like, how did we miss that? Again, and
we didn't miss it. We've been told that our whole lives.
Yeah.
We didn't miss it.
No.
We weren't listening.
Yeah. I'm over here doing like,
I tell you what, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I don't think I would have stumbled on it.
Okay.
I don't. I've always heard stories about Guru Dan.
Yeah.
Like when I know it was funny because in interviews his name comes up all the time.
Yeah,
I've had many teachers, not just Guru Dan, but he's been such an example to me about the things to expect in different sections of my life. Yeah. Right. And one thing I heard was like when he does his, and it's been confirmed by a couple people, that like when he does the hotels at night. Like he always gets his own separate room because like Guru goes through a bunch of chanting and humming and a bunch of like this all this meditative stuff. Yeah, that seems so weird. It seems so weird, right? And silly. Yeah. And then this year I got into like watching a bunch of videos on like how the Indian culture looks at like the word Om and like what it does for the body and how it resonates in the different frequencies. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Before I started doing Qigong, I'd have thought that was BS. Yeah. And now I have the patience in the inner self to be able to like. To find that place and then start to attach and bring that part in if I want to and find the calmness and not be completely distracted by the external stimuli that we all think we have to have. We have to have the lights, we have to have the music, we have to have something, and just being calm and relaxed and with ourselves is a torturous thing sometimes. Oh man. Right? Yeah. And being able to find that place of comfort and peace within yourself, to just be able to be with yourself. You can't get into all the other stuff until you can do that. Yeah. But then, there's so many more cool things it teaches. You watch your immune system go up. It's true. You know? Yeah. Oh, dude, my posture is so much better. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, when we started this podcast, so we're sitting here, and I'm sitting here with my legs crossed, I'm straight up. Yeah. Right? 2 years ago, I'd have been talking to you like this. Like, I'd have been hunched down like this, or I'd have said, well, let's go lean up against the wall or something, you know? And it's helped me so much. The health benefit, I wouldn't have believed it though until my body started needing it. Yeah. But it was the pandemic that brought me opened to like, up that. I need to train something when I can't touch other people. Right. That was a big thing for me. It really did force a lot of people. And nobody liked the pandemic. It sucked. But what it did do for us, the positives that did come from it was that it forced us to out of sheer boredom, it forced us to start looking at other things. Like, man, I'm really bored. Let me learn this or let me learn that. I've never learned this and I have the time now. You know, I have the opportunity now because I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs waiting for all of this. I think it's funny that I went back to traditional martial arts. Yeah. I went to Qigong, Tai Chi, and Kobudo. Wow. You know, to rebuild my body. Yeah. It doesn't change my curriculum, but it's what I'm doing for myself. And I have fully found that training those things has made my body, the quality of my movement and my understanding so much better. And now my trapping is stronger, my kickboxing is better. You know what really shot up? Almost immediately, like within 6 weeks of doing Qigong, my jiu-jitsu got real good. Because like it's like turning your whole body. It's like turning your whole body into this into an antenna through stillness. Because when you're perfectly still, you can feel every little breeze that goes by an arm hair.
Wow.
You can feel like if a little bug lands on you, you're like, oh, like right away you look right at it because it feels like a brick landing on you.
Yeah.
And then you go to roll and you've got these antennas that are supercharged to feel things. Because you just go to total stillness when you can experience everything. I know it sounds so hippie.
No.
Sounds so hippy dippy. I understand. You like sounds.
It's what we were just talking about that with Eric.
As Joe Rogan would say, it sounds very woo woo.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, when I watched it, when I saw it make my jiu-jitsu better, I was hooked.
Nice.
6 weeks in, I got better jiu-jitsu. I'm like, wait a minute, this makes everything else I do better.
Right.
I'm in. Let's go all the way.
Yeah.
And
so the carryover value was very big.
Yes. Now here's the thing. I think. This is my personal opinion based on my experience, so I could totally be wrong about this. But in my experience, I believe like the stuff I'm doing now has such value because I already have a functional, physical, combative component.
Yeah.
And so now the stuff I'm doing now makes that stuff stronger and better.
Right.
Like the quality of the movement is better. I'm more rooted. I understand my body more, right?
Right.
But had I started with this stuff, I would have all this like body connection, but no knowledge to apply it with. I wouldn't have the punching and the kicking and the trapping and the takedowns and the jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't have that. It's like, it's like buying all the gas for your car, but not having a car yet. Right? But a car with no gas means nothing either.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pick it, you should probably get the car first, then get the gas.
Right.
So you can use the car right away when you get the gas.
Yes, exactly. Very good. Yeah, good analogy, man. But no, it's really fun to talk about this and to obviously have a conversation with someone who's not only open to talking about it, but also has the background knowledge and education where, the conversation can flow that way. Because, again, I've been really picky about who I've been trying to have conversations with just because I'm like, well, okay, number one, if I try to talk to everyone, I'm going to run into the problem with, too many people trying to find every opportunity in the conversation to promote their school and themselves. When I just want them to, and I get that, I understand that, but I'm trying to have a conversation about martial arts and the truth lies in the amazing benefits. So I'm trying to ask them to step outside of that, that thing and to do that for everyone, right? And so I've had to be very picky because I have encountered school owners and teachers and instructors who, and sometimes I'll talk to them first off camera or off audio just to see, let me just start talking to you first, just to see how this is probably going to go. And then I just decide to let the interview continue that way off audio because I'm like, I'm sorry, but I just don't want people to hear you. And, and I know that's like, it rips me apart inside because I'm just like, Joe, you said you were going to do this unbiasedly. You said you were going to do this objectively.
I'm so flattered that you recorded this, but now you bet your ass I'm going to be looking to see if you post it.
Yeah, man. It's going to get posted. Don't you worry, man. Like,
he made the decision at the end. You know what? No one needs to hear his opinion.
No, but I mean, I just feel like so it was a double-edged sword. If I'm not careful and I don't try to talk to people that I know are going to be talking to all of us, I'm going to pay for it and everyone else is going to pay for it. So I have to be choosy. And that was really difficult for me because in the beginning, I wanted to go and talk to all the bad people or the wrong people because I knew that they were going to bury themselves doing it. But I'm like, don't do that. Just
no, that's their job, not yours.
No, exactly. Just don't do that, and just and so and I just feel very strongly that people like ourselves have to have some kind of opportunity to talk to the rest of them, and to tell them about what we're doing and how and why, where it comes from, what it can do, so that way they're at least a little less nervous or uncomfortable to come in and try. Because when I discovered the numbers of people that participated in martial arts in this country, just in this country, and it was like less than, I think it was like between 1% and 2%, and that was total men, women, and children.
Wow.
When you do the numbers more realistically, and you say, well, okay, we know that children take up most of those numbers. So then you say, well, how many adults do martial arts? It's cut like It's less than a percent. Less than 1%. And now, of course, and this is not including COVID and schools closing and all that. So when I discovered that the numbers were so low, I became obsessed as to why. Why is it that this thing that you and I have adopted in our life to be so amazing, and it's made us who we are? Why? And I know that there's sports. You can do basketball, football, volleyball, and all this, and it has similar benefits. But why is it that martial arts get so little attention? Why is it that I know from my research the physiological, neurological, and emotional benefits of martial arts actually supersede other activities?
But you didn't know that before you started
I
training martial
didn't.
arts.
I didn't.
That's the difference.
Right.
That's the
And
difference.
so I became obsessed as to try to figure out, well, you know, I want to know why, what is it about martial arts that makes people, why aren't there more people doing it? And so I went on this crazy journey across the country trying to find my answers, right? And it turns out that I can give you a few reasons why, and I have a lot, and they're going to go in the book. But one of them is the first 8 to 10 seconds when they walk through that door.
Okay.
That's the first one. You know, now I should actually backtrack and say maybe the first one is the optics, the optics of the school, or in optics meaning the physical location. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe their social media, maybe their YouTube, whatever. So the optics. What does it look like first to them if they've never seen it?
Sure.
So that's one. Two would be when that first 8 to 10 seconds when they walk in.
How'd I do?
Thumbs up.
Cool.
Yeah.
What did I do well?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but I mean, again, like just walking over, saying hi, greeting us, just making us feel like we're supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want you to feel like you're supposed to be here. We went to a school in Bozeman, Montana, and one of our best experiences in walking into a school. You know, and I went there, and I actually have her interview on my YouTube channel as well. Her name is Robin Plank, but her instructor just walked right up to us, just with the kindest look on his face, like, "How are you guys doing?" And I was just like, "That's great." And like within like less than 2 minutes, we wanted to train there, and we actually didn't have time to train there, but we made time because I was like, "I want to train here." Just because of the way that guy walked up to us and said, "Yeah, absolutely," and he was just so cordial and so and genuine and inviting. But then you go to other schools, like we went to a Krav school, and I'm not going to name it, but we went to a Krav school in Arizona, and oh my gosh, that was one of the worst 8 to 10 seconds of my life in martial arts because of the way that they were so overbearingly like what, can you describe it a little bit? Like, do you remember that experience?
They were very pushy and just bragging about their school and how we have to try it, and we just wanted to watch a class.
And we were trying to make it clear we just want to watch.
And like she must have said at least 6 times, like, "Well, you should try." And we said no 6 times. And I'm just like, you're a school that like teaches people how to enforce their boundaries, and that's okay. But like, you keep pushing ours. Like,
wow,
it's
what
ironic.
an insightful! What an insight! Oh, did you say that?
We did.
You don't
not.
have to answer
Like,
that question,
but
but that's great insight.
Yeah.
Like, how ironic. But stop.
Yeah.
Like, I said no. Like,
Yeah.
please stop pushing this. And it
Yeah.
was just so off-putting.
But I think that goes back to the amazing benefit of perspective that we just started talking about. So then again, I'm trying to tell the listeners that, you know, all of our opinion here about the amazing benefits of martial arts is learning to learn more about the different perspective, how to look at there's different ways you can look at things and learn about them and all that. And
Well, if you're talking about the truth
yeah.
of martial arts, here's the truth.
Okay.
Despite what anybody tells you, every single martial art has a benefit that can somehow improve your life in it.
Okay.
Now, it may not be congruent with your goal. Maybe it's not the reason you went in there for.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't provide a benefit, right? So take the most common reason out. Take self-defense out.
Okay.
Okay, because we've already established earlier in this conversation, we don't have to go back over, but we've already established that like it really is like it's about how good you can do something in what environment, and you change the environment, change circumstances, you change what works.
Right.
Okay, so having said that, take that part out of it, right?
Right.
How many martial arts help you improve your flexibility? How many martial arts help you improve your hand-eye coordination? How many martial arts help you improve like abdominal development, such as like what jiu-jitsu does, right? How many martial arts help you with problem solving? How many martial arts help you with dealing with, struggling with overcoming a fear, right? Like all of these things are things that you can accomplish in martial. And I'm not naming a style.
Sure,
I'm not
sure.
naming a school. These are general. These are things that happen in martial arts.
Yeah.
And this is why martial arts is so beneficial. The self-defense part is a big part. But it's not the only part. And by the way, that one part does not overshadow the benefits of everything else. And I can tell you this because if God were to come down right now and say, you know what, Nelson, you're safe. You're never going to be in another fight for the rest of your life. You're all good, bro. If you don't want to do martial arts anymore, you don't need to. Go ahead and go fly fishing.
Yeah.
Like, do it, play
Yeah.
guitar for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I don't care. Just have fun. You've earned it, right? I would still teach because it still does good things for my body. It does great things for my mind. It does great things for my emotions. Right? Just being able to come in and see people I care about and have a conversation with them and share something with them that makes a difference to them. That's a beautiful thing to me. This year I had one of my old students call me up and say, hey, I was just in a fight with two guys and one had a gun. I almost died. I'm just barely survived.
Right.
I just missed my head with the shot. I'm like, what happened? He was like, dude, everything that you taught me, all the reflex stuff, all you don't have time to stop and think, get in and go. It's like all that. It's like I can't even tell you exactly what happened, but all your lessons just saved my life. And I came away from that. I mean, I was happy that he survived it, but I came away from that feeling validated as
Right.
I did a good thing for a person. You know what I'm saying? And how many other stories like that happened that I don't know about?
Yeah, absolutely.
That, I don't know, but I know that that's so good for me emotionally. That's so good for me mentally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was good for him physically in the moment. For all the ways. But there's always something of benefit.
Right.
And you only miss it if you choose to not look for it, or if you choose to only look for one specific thing. If you come in going I want to be a black belt, or I want to be able to kick somebody's ass, or I want to get into fighting, or whatever, if you come in with only one goal, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all have to come into something for a reason.
Right.
But if you can focus on the idea, or be open at least to the idea that there's a lot more here than just your goal, you could wind up with a whole bunch of riches right at your feet that you're unaware of.
Yeah.
They're right there, but you got to open your eyes to see them. Whether it's the people, whether it's the health benefits, whatever it is, fighting set aside.
Yep.
No, it's not to make it unimportant either.
Right.
But even in highly tactical communities where that's a big deal. The self-defense portion's a big deal. Okay, that's great. But now we're also talking about things like trust and team tactics and teamwork and making sure you understand the thinking process of another individual and how you can look out for them and knowing they have your back. And that's all separate from just the, hey, can I put, lead on target sort of mindset.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So,
Well, this has been an awesome conversation, and I deeply appreciate it because, again, I'm just trying to put the word out there that, and again, going back to how deeply disturbed and disappointed I was to see, because when you're involved in martial arts for so long, you think there's a lot of people that do it, and there is in that world.
right.
But you
Almost everybody I know does it.
yeah, all my friends do it. It's popular, and then you go, wait a minute, no, and that's what's so funny when people talk about what works and going back to what works and doesn't work in a real fight. I'm like, do you realize that more than 97, almost 98% of the population doesn't do martial arts?
Yeah.
And only less than a fraction of those people would be, dangerous without training. Most of them are very uncoordinated. I mean, adults, and this has been across the country now, people are very uncoordinated.
Yeah.
They have no balance. It's just, and so you see, all kinds of people walking around that look the part, but when you ask them to throw a punch at a mitt, man, it'll surprise you how,
it's evident, man. Especially cell phones have really changed things.
my
When we
gosh.
were kids, we didn't have that kind of stuff. We had to go out and play and run around and do sports and all sorts of horrible stuff in the sunlight before the street lights came on.
That's
right?
it.
We had to do all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Now kids don't. No. Now kids, they've got cell phone neck.
It's
right,
bad, man.
And when you get, and it's always evident to me, you get somebody that comes in and they're able to do what I show them right away.
Yeah.
My first question: what'd you do as a kid?
Right.
How many sports you play? Did you dance? Right? Because 100%, it's always oh yeah, I did sports in school, or I danced for 10 years, or I did whatever. But the ones that always have the problem are the sedentary lifestyle people that have always been that way, like video gamers,
Right.
musicians. I'm a musician, right? Like video gamers, musicians, people that work at a desk, professional students, right? All these kind of these people, like coordination for them is hard because they've never had to do that kind of stuff.
They've never had to recruit the muscles that were required for it. Yeah.
And you got to remember, that guy is having a totally different experience than the other guy that came in, who's still wearing a white belt right next to him.
Exactly.
Totally different than the guy that came in like with 10 years of baseball or whatever.
Which, for you instructors out there listening to this, keep that in mind, because that frame of reference is important. If they come in and they're coming into this whole new thing, man, and they're trying. They actually came through the door. It took some guts to do that because it's uncomfortable. It's weird. It's odd. They're going out of their element. They don't know what to expect, And so the fact that they even came in is huge. And, that's why I was telling you earlier that, man, it's been a very disappointing experience to see how many schools didn't pass that 8 to 10. We'll even just say 1 minute rule.
Yeah.
I mean, we would go into schools and 45 minutes goes by. And it's not like there was one owner, one instructor, one teacher, and it wasn't like that. This was a place that had more than enough people that could have come over and said something, and nothing. And
they all looked at us.
They all looked at us funny. And we're not like, we were trying to make sure that we were not standing there to look like a parent or to look like a student. We were obviously trying to make ourselves, look, we're not from here. Can we talk to somebody? So that was really disappointing. And of course, there were schools that did too. One of the best schools that did it, like immediately, was Francis Fong's. Kevin Lee come right up to us. I mean,
Kevin's great.
And
there's a picture right there.
yeah, and
Kevin's a great guy.
and one of my favorite guys. And so again, just made it very clear that, look, hey, how are you doing? How can I help you today? And this and that. But then other schools just, man, did they bomb. And so I feel like, well, now I'm collecting more and more reasons why more people don't do martial arts, is because, man, it's you got to get past your own personal reasons for. Well, so you could be sitting there all day like, I want to try this. I do want to try martial arts. I keep hearing about jiu-jitsu or some other art. I want to try, but man, I just feel, it feels weird. It feels uncomfortable or odd, or I feel out of place. And so the best thing that instructors and school owners can do, and I know you agree with me on this, is that, man, please, as soon as they walk into that door, you got to go over to them, make them feel comfortable, make them feel like they're supposed to be there, and don't push them. They're already in the door.
Yep.
You don't have to sell them. You don't have to upsell anything. Just talk to them. Just say, what's your name? How are you doing today? Just be genuine. You don't have to. It's really not that hard. But
I 100% agree. You were mentioning, you said to the instructors out there.
Yeah.
And it made me think to the instructors out there.
Yeah.
I've seen before, because we were talking about different white belts are coming in with different experiences behind them, right?
Yeah.
I've seen this before. I don't know if you've seen this poster. It might show I keep picking on BJJ and Taekwondo, just because they're on opposite ends of the spectrum of how long it takes to get to their standard of black belt with inside of their own art.
Yeah.
And you've heard the phrase hey, not all black belts are created equal.
Of course.
You know what? Every instructor should remember that not all white belts are created equal.
That's a good point.
So when you get white belts in, you can't, this guy is not the same as the other guy. If you try to cookie cutter white belts, treat them all exactly the same. Now there's some processes they should go through, but you also have to recognize, talk to them, find out why are they here. And we've already talked about that. But, find why are they here? What experience do they have? Are they here for fun? Did they experience a tragedy?
Right. Yeah.
Who knows what their purpose is?
You don't know. And
I had a guy come in here one time, straight up, looked at the side and said, when do we get to start learning the Ninja Turtle knives?
But that's an awesome term. I'm going to keep that.
Initially, oh God, please don't. Initially, when he was like, when do I get to use the Ninja Turtle knives? I felt my spine stepping up, and I was like, in my soul, secretly inside, I was like, leave my school right now. But I had to remind myself in that moment that okay, this guy's 20 years old. He's trying to try to be kind of he would be joking around with his own buddies to try to relax because he's nervous.
Right.
he's only probably ever seen, like, those were around way before the Ninja Turtles to guys like you and me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
but that's like his only frame of reference is the size, is Raphael.
Yeah.
And I had to check myself in that moment and be like, don't judge him on that. He doesn't know. Judge him on that after you teach him, and he still calls it that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
then you can,
But tell him why, like, help him out. Like don't just tell him why that might or might not be offensive to another martial artist, but instead, give him knowledge about its history and let him figure that out on its own.
Yeah.
Because the next time he goes and walks into like maybe a karate dojo or something, sees a pair of sai on the wall, instead of saying, "Oh, those Ninja Turtle knives those KSK guys had," instead he might say, "Oh, I heard about those. Those were like representations, like law enforcement, right? For the Japanese, they go back to the Chinese, then even further back to like give him a little bit of history." And now it's something fun, not just something he doesn't understand about. So he does what he can, which is poke fun at it to make it feel less uncomfortable for him.
Right.
And it's how we treat people.
Yeah.
It's how we think about them.
Yeah.
It's how we think about them.
I appreciate it, man. Well, it's been a great talk and chat here, Kent, and I appreciate it. I know Casey does, because we've been through a lot in our travels, and we're coming to the end, and I'm pretty sure you're probably the last one that we're talking to, because I got to get this book done. I've got to get this thing written. I'm taking too long. I'm dragging my feet, and I'm sorry for everybody. I said I was going to get it done, but I am going to finish the book. So, but I would like people to know where you're at. So can you tell us your information if people are listening to this and they're interested in coming in?
We're in Lansing, Michigan.
Okay.
And rather than try to give the address, I'm just going to say, just go to kskmartialarts.com. You can find our current location, our email address, all our contact information there, just kskmartialarts.com.
Okay.
You can shoot us an email at kskmartialarts@gmail.com. Big stray there.
Right.
And we'd be happy to help out anybody with whatever part of the journey they're looking for.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, man. And it's been great talking with you, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
and
man.
you too. Thank you so much.
Take care, Kent.
You too.